Hello everyone. So it's already 3 p.m. And first and foremost, good evening, good afternoon to all of you. And thank you so much for finding the time in joining our webinar today. So before introducing the speaker, I would like to check with all of you. Can you hear me well? If yes, then maybe you can say yes or give us a thumbs up, or maybe, yeah, great. Okay, nice. Okay, so okay, cool. Okay, right. Um, okay, so introducing our topic today is to stand out to survive RMCO, and let me introduce you to our speaker, Dr. Dixon Lai. As you can see on the screen, him with his headphones. Yes, and yeah, so let us not waste any more of our time and welcome Dr. Dixon to present his speech. So please welcome.
So thank you, Nali.
Right.
Okay, so I believe everyone hear me okay. Let me just quickly get my slide out. You are able to see my slide?
Not yet.
Not yet. Let me just, oh, wait, I lost my connection. Just give me a second. Where is my, oh, interesting. I do not know where is my, you're able to see my slide? No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Let me just come back with TeamViewer. I'm going to share my screen desktop. Oh, now you can see me. You able to see my slide?
Yep.
Okay, just put it on. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. So it's in the middle of the week, and you notice that I have a teapot here. Basically, I would like to spend this 45 minutes to an hour through your coffee time. So that's the reason we start at 3 o'clock, so you can enjoy a coffee while listening to me. Now, the good thing about webinar is only I speak and you listen. The no good of a webinar is when I speak, you listen, I do not have interaction. So that is a challenge of a webinar. And today is the number 4th webinar that we are conducting. So if you remember, we have webinar 1, which is during the MCO time. By the way, what is MCO? For some of our participants, they might come from different country. So MCO is called Movement Control Order. That means that we are not allowed to move around. So our webinar 1 started with MCO. Then we move on to webinar 2. Is in the mid of transition to CMCO, which is condition MCO. Then we have our webinar 3, which is during the CMCO. And now so happen that we are conducting this during the RMCO, which is recovering MCO. Right? So let's get started. Let me just click on here. So just a quick check with you, because this is the 4th webinar. I would like to know how many of you know me. If you know me, just type yes. If you do not know me, just type no over your chat. So I just want to know, am I talking to people that's first time with me or existing?
So turns out there's mostly no.
Very good.
Yep.
So nice. So means that potentially a lot of you are just first time we met. So what I'm going to do, let me spend about 45 seconds just briefly introduce myself. My name is called Dixon Lai. I got my PhD in philosophy. So basically 25 years I started as an engineer. They don't call IT, they call computer science during that moment. Right? So that was how I started. And when I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, I was involved in data analytics during that period of time, 20 years ago, we call ourselves not big data, we call ourselves data warehouse. So I love to analyze data. Let me mute you. Please, probably you might want to mute somebody. Okay. Okay. Just some house rule. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself so that there will no feedback or any noises behind. Thank you very much. Right. So from that time onwards, after PwC, I've been analyzing big data. Right. Then along the way, I love to interact with human. That's where I went to certify myself as a life coach. And because of my basic skill as an analytics, I start to analyze human behavior. Right? So that is where I fully utilize the skill that I learned in technology side. So today I've co-founded a company called the Dixon Lab. Basically is to look at health science of a human. So that is a brief introduction of myself. If some of you have not heard of me or this is your first time. Okay. Let's move on. Now let's recap the first 3 webinars that I've conducted, because it's a series. So what I have foreseen during the pandemic, which is COVID-19, I foreseen things are going to be not the normal, not the usual way, and yet these are an evolution. So during the first webinar, I introduced 4 glasses of water. Right? This is the tools that to look at where are you now, moving to where you want to be. Then from there, I also identify 3 areas when you make the decision, when you make the choice, which could be the desire side of it. Yes, I want it so much. Or some of you, they make a choice based on your emotions. Right? And a lot of us also make a choice based on our knowledge, what we have actually educated ourselves. So webinar 1, which I explain what is 4 glasses of water and the 3 bubbles. Then after a week or 2, right, we came to webinar 2, which I introduced the emotions inside of a person. So I make use of this wheel of emotions by Dr. Robert Puget. So from there, I also talk about 3 areas. If you notice in this wheel of emotions, there are 3 rings, which is the outside ring that impact our emotion inner, yet we are not aware what is going on. Then when we come into the second ring, we start to realize it, and that moment you need to take action. And going into the third ring, which is here, right? If you do not take any drastic actions, something is going to happen inside of you. Then I talk about reflection. Whatever emotions that you believe or feeling that you feel at that moment, if you look at the opposite side, these are the reflection of you. Right? And I also get into what are the emotions that potentially trigger you. So this is what I've covered in webinar 2. So moving on to webinar 3, right, which we talk about moving forward. Right. So in webinar 2, we briefly explain what is emotions. Emotions are the energy inside of us. Right? And in scientific term, right, emotion is something that energy that in the motions, means that it keep on moving. Now the interesting thing is when we could not create energy and we cannot hold the energy, yet the only thing we can do with energy is transform it. Right. So just like emotions, we can create emotion, yet a lot of time we do not realize it. What are the emotions? Yet a lot of times we hold the emotions. Many of us did not transform that emotion in such a way. So in webinar 3, right, I introduced the rhythm inside of you. right? To look at what kind of emotion you are inside of you and identify what are the rhythm. It could be in the sentimental side, it could be in the pop music side, it could be in classical or hard rock. At that moment, we discover something that potentially could shape your behavior. Right? And that is in the webinar 3. Right? Now again, if you miss out my first 3 webinar, you can just go to YouTube, which our team has published it into the YouTube. Just type the Dixon Lab, and you'll be able to find the first 3 webinar. So that will give you ideas what have been transpired throughout the first 3 webinar. Okay. So let's come to today. For the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about 3 things. First is to look at your present state. Now, why is it so important? Because throughout the evolution of this pandemic, if you notice that our government have locked us down, our government have slowly set a condition inside of us, and our government at this moment are recovering. Right? And there's a lot unknown whether after the recovering it's going to be something else. It's all very much depends on the situation. So with that, we got to aware of our present state. Because no matter what, rightfully, wrongfully, or you want or you do not want, the environment is going to change drastically. And if you are not aware of your current state, and if the environment changes, right, you are against the force. Things are not going to be easy. After this, I'm going to show you, are you able to find the essence inside of you? Essence is something that holds you on, that moves you forward. And lastly, grab it. Now, what is it by grabbing it? Basically, throughout the 1-hour sessions, right, I guarantee and I promise there's no selling. It's a pure education program that I want to pass on to you. I want to pass on all the tools, whatever tools have in my mind for you to move on with your journey. So the practice of me is whenever at the end of the session, I will offer something to you. And be mindful, every webinar will be different. So just hang on until the end. Right? You just need to grab it. That's all. Yeah. So let's start. The new normal. The new normal is here. If you look at the evolutions during the MCO, right, we're expecting the unemployment rate will increase, which is the fact now. Right? A lot of people are jobless, right? Especially in the entertainment industry. Right? Recently, there's 3,000 to 5,000 people being asked to go because they could not open up their business. And economic downturn is happening. Right? And we know that hygiene is requirement is high. Right? I've been talking to a lot of people. They are not concerned about whether I got COVID-19 or whatever. Right? They are more concerned is, where can I find the money if I got COVID-19? Right? So these are the 3 processes which is gone through from MCO, CMCO, and RMCO. And now the biggest question is related to mental health. Right? Because the environment has changed drastically. The biggest question inside of us is, are we ready to take this on? Is your present state ready to face it? That's all related to your mental well-being. And today I'm going to cover this part. Now, during this recovering MCO, right, I have a lot of coaching sessions with my client. I talk to people. I speak to strangers. I like to hang around with all these coffee shop, which very different from the old days. When I hang around with coffee shops, I normally see a lot of people. Nowadays, only one-to-one or a few. Yet, I got these 3 feedback from them. Most of them say that I'm confused now. I'm confused because what I know might not be relevant at this moment, which is true. Right? What you know at this moment, by the end of 5 p.m. later, the government is going to announce something and things are going to change. So a lot of times they are confused or we are confused. And second major thing that the feedback is I'm concerned. Right? I'm concerned whether my current skills are still relevant. Which is nothing wrong because they are all negative news are being coming in and into to us. So people are concerned whether the skill I'm having, the skill that I've learned, right, is going to be useful during this period or the future. And the third one that feedback to me is I'm lost. Some of us are really lost. Right? In fact, for me, to be very honest, there's a short period of time I'm lost. Why is that so? Because throughout the last 5 years, I've been building up a lot of coaching tools, and suddenly the entire thing has shifted to digitize, offline. So that moment, I'm completely lost because I could not have face-to-face interaction. And being a life coach, the best result is having face-to-face. So this moment, I've been struggling. What else can I do to convert this into digitized or online? So again, let's look at our state at this moment. So one of the questions, whenever I get the feedback from them, I will ask them this question. What powerful stance have you created for yourself? Think of it. Right? I'm at my today my age is 49. So when I ask this question to myself, what powerful stance have I created throughout the 49 years? And this question has been bothering me, and even I guess potentially it might bother you, especially during this period. Now, let's have some games. I love games. So because there's no feedback from you, I will assume that everyone are in for the game, okay? That's the best thing about webinar. Only I speak and you listen. So if I created a games, you got to comply with it. Now, one of the great things is if you participate, you will learn. And the only failure is the failure to participate. So I will expect you to participate in the game. That will give you tremendous learning. Right? So the game is very simple. All you need to do is when I tell you the rules, you just need to answer through the chat. Okay? Now, I want you to imagine or I want you to recall 2 persons that know you very well. What I mean is know you very well. Recall back the 2 persons. At this moment, you should have 2 names in your mind. The 2 names that you can easily just come in. Okay. So now you are ready with the 2 names. Right. At this moment, you will be able to visualize that person, how the person looks. So I want you to look into their eyes. Then I want you to ask that person this question. How much you think you know me? Ask this question to the person. How much you think you know me? Right. So over at the chat group, chat site, right, you might want to type in whether it's 20%, 20% that you think they know you, which is not very sure. Or you can type in 40%, I think the two of them know me so. Or you can type in 60%, pretty well. Or even 80%, we are very close. Yet, not a reflection. Or you can just type in 100%. It's a true reflection. When I see the person, it's exactly like me. So are you ready? So all you need is just go to the chat site and type in the answer, 20%, 40%, 60%, 80, or 100. Now again, you're only allowed to type once. Don't tell me you type 20%, after that you type another 100%. Okay? So I leave it to my team to do the analysis. Later they will pass on to me. Okay. So let me continue. Today, I would like to introduce a windows. There will be 4 windows that to show the understanding of you and also to enhance the way you communicate. And this principles is coming from the Johari window. Some of you might know, some of you might not. Now, throughout this, when I introduce the Johari windows, the principles, one thing I would like you to focus on is through their eye, right? Not their expression. Because one of the challenging of the webinar, which is the online, we might not get to know our body language. For example, you only see this particular square of me, right? And you'll never see what I'm wearing at the bottom. I could be wearing a shorts, I could be wearing some other thing. Yet what you see only here. Right. So what I want you to practice at this moment is look into that person's eye when I show you that picture. Okay. Now first, Johari window, the first window say that if you know yourself and others know you, literally you're very open. Means that you're vulnerable. I'm real me. Because I know myself very well and others knows me. Now let me give you an example. Almost every morning, right, I like to wake up early and go to this very traditional coffee shop. Right? When I started to go there a year ago, nobody know me. Yet I just walk in, and I've been going there quite frequent. Ultimately, to the extent that when I sit down, I do not require to order anything. Right? And the girl will come in with the coffee that I used to order. So others, it seems like others knows me very well. And I know myself because when I go to the coffee shop, I will definitely order the same thing. So this is what we call open. So the question is, are you open to yourself? And are you open to others to know you without saying anything? Now let's look at second windows. Johari say the second windows is called a blind spot. And a lot of times, see, the interesting things of human being is we are being given a pair of eye. Let me eye over here. And the interesting thing is this eye that you have, you are able to see others. And a lot of times, you are not able to see yourself. So this is what we call blind spot. And yet, it was so clear from other people's eye that they saw us. Unfortunately, many of us, or sometimes even myself, I deny it. That is what we mean by not known to self, which is a blind spot. Some of us, or potentially some of us are in this space. Yet, are you open up to yourself to allow others to look into and tell you the blind spot? And a lot of times, when you look into a stranger, you notice that by staring into that person's eye, you are able to kind of judgmental in certain of their behavior. Let me give you an example. Right? But while I was sitting at the coffee shop, because it's a very local coffee shop, right? So many of elderly senior person, they will walk in with short pants, with slippers, or some of them even with the t-shirt with holes around. Right? Right? And yet, when they sit down, right, they'll be, when I look at them, they're so humble. There's something inside of them. And yet, when I go up there and say, "Hi, mister, right, you are so good at this and this and this." Unfortunately, most of them will tell me that, "No, I'm not." That could be a blind spot to them. So, the biggest question that I would like to ask you is, are you willing to open up and allow others to show you the blind spot inside of you? Now, let's look into the third window. Right. I know myself very well, which many of us say that I know myself so well. Right. Yet, you do not want that to allow others to know you. This is what we call hidden. There's something inside of you that's hiding, especially at this moment. Now, the new normal has changed the way of banking. In the old days, when you walk into a bank, you're not allowed to put on a mask, right? You're not allowed to wear cap. At this moment, if you walk into the bank, if you don't wear a mask, the security guard will come after you and say that, "Please wear on your mask." So it's completely different. It's just like wearing a mask at this moment. You'll be hiding something. So you're not able to see a person's facial. And in the old days, when we talk about emotions, others guru will tell you that look at their face, look at their smile. You roughly understand the emotion inside a person. Yet, in my belief, right, these are just the outlook. What really transpires is from the pair of eyes. So many of us, right, potentially could have something hidden inside where we do not want others to know. If that transpires inside of you, a lot of times your way of communication, there will be a gap. And potentially, whoever listens to you, they might be able to pick it up. So this is the third window. And finally, the fourth window is called unknown. Now, this is tough. A lot of times, we do not know ourselves, and others also do not know you. Basically, it's like, in a simple words, sometimes words might not be able to express the meaning of it. Yet, I use this simple words called, over here, it's called, you're lost. Right? Sometimes when I coach my client, when I tell them that you're lost, they will start to defend. So that might not be a right words. So to me, words sometimes it does lead you to some other negative or positive. It's all about the definition. So over here, the word unknown, potentially you might be lost, you're looking for yourself. At the same time, others will feel the same thing. That's called unknown. So if you stare into their eye, right, potentially you are able to identify which window they are in. Right. So I want to give you a homework. Now again, whatever task I give you, you are not going to respond to me, so I presume that you agree. So the homework that I want you to do is, right, tonight, if you happen to go back home or you are going to meet your friends, stare into that person's eye and identify where is that person at this moment. Is that person open enough to talk to you? Is that person have some blind spot? Or is that person is going to hide something inside of them? Or even to the extent that that person are completely lost or unknown. So I just want you to pick up this exercise, right, when you go back home or after your work. Right. This will be able to get you understand the other party. And at the same time, if you're bold enough, right, you pass on the same knowledge to that person and ask that person, where am I now? Am I really open? Do I have a blind spot? Am I hiding myself? Or I'm lost? Use this as an exercise. It could be a tool for you at this moment to empower you to move on. Okay? So far so good? So again, no response means it's good. Thank you. Again, these are facts or opinions. A lot of times when somebody tells you some things, you are struggling between these are facts or these are opinion. Right? Very interesting, right? So by the time you practice the exercise, our brain will start to analyze things. Every human brain are very unique because every human brain are built with 1 billion of neurons, and every day neurons are firing. So when somebody tell you something or when you read about something, your neuron will start to connect, and that's where you start to analyze. And from there, a picture will come out. Oh my God, the unknown is such. The unknown space is bigger than the open space. Or to the extent that you might have another thought. The open space is so huge. Wow, I'm vulnerable. Yet the unknown and hidden is smaller. No, I'm safe with that. Now again, these are whether facts or opinion. Because every of us will tend to start to analyze when you receive information for others. Now, Nali, let's look at what are the results we have from just now exercise.
Yes. So from the result just now, most have put in 80% and 60%.
Okay.
So do you want me to state the names or?
No need to state the name, just general. So majority is 80% and 60%. Anyone, below like 60%?
Nope, it's in that range. So 60 or 80.
60 or 80, good. Thank you, Nari. Now, interesting. Let's talk about the below 60%. Right? So the good thing is there's no one willing to put below 60%. Right? If you have between 60 to 40%, you're still okay. Means that you have kind of good friends around you. Now, whoever might not participate, right, or unknown or hidden, right? Some of you might start to think, do my friend know me well? If inside your mind is less than 40%, you might want to look inside of you. Because in this world, there are two things. Only two things. We have this Mother Earth, which is the earth we are in. The second thing is human. So it's Mother Earth and human. If in your mind think they have 40% below, means that you are not connecting with another human being that well. So inside of you have less than 40%. I will encourage you or challenge you in such a way that go out and connect and allow yourself to be open and allow others to get to know you. Now, if you are in this space of 60%, you're kind of marginal. there's only two possibilities. Either you do not know yourself well, right? Or you're unsure whether these are your good buddies or friends that really know you. Right. So if you are in the range of 60 to 80%, right, I will only encourage you to look inside of you. To change others to know you, you got to change yourself first. So work on ourselves. Now, if you put more than 80%, congratulations. Means that you're somebody that you're so close to that you're able to go there and tell all your negative things to that person, yet that person will never feedback negative to you. Because that person really know you well. And that person should encourage you and move you on to the next journey and to empower you much more. If your answer is 80 or 100%, means you have that person to walk the journey together with you. Maintain the kind of relationship. Because along the way, both of you are going to move forward together. Right? And again, if you have an 80%, right, put this exercise to that person. Stare into that person's eye and start to ask and start to analyze whether this person, your friends or your spouse or whoever your partner is, whether it's open, there's a blind spot, or that person is hiding from you, or that person is completely lost. Stare into that person's eye without any single word. And you might be able to find something. Is it good? All right. So thank you, Nali, for that calculation. Right. So let's move on. My whole intention here initially is to get you to get aware of your state, of your present state. Right. Out of the 4 windows, where are you now? Then the next stage for me is, right, to look into whether you are living from essence or a survival mechanism. Right. And set things throughout my journey as an ontological or life coach, I've been seeing or hearing and feeling a lot of my clients, even my friends, they're living at their survival mechanism. And what are the tools normally I use to get them aware of this? Right. Most of the time I will use this. Majority of them. And I will say every one of us, we have an imprint inside of us. You know, imprint, the trademark, right? Not really the chop inside of you, yet your upbringing, what something that is being hold on inside of you, that imprint, right? That most of the time the imprint are negative, very bad experience. And that imprint have been holding on majority of us. And whenever things happen upfront, we tend to recall back our imprint. Right. And then a lot of us, right, will start to experience things. And because of that imprint, we stop ourselves to expose to something that might hold us on. Now, let me give you a story. It's a recent, what I call a coaching session with my client. So, yeah, I will also show, I have put the, what I call, I've asked my client, what do they need? And my client say that I'm looking for basic needs. Okay, I asked him to choose out of the 3, diet, shelter, or money, or food. And he chose, no, money, food, and diet. Sorry, diet, money, and shelter. So she chose diet and relationship. So I asked which is the priority, and she say is diet. Right? So when I go back to a series of your past experience, then I realize that it's not the diet that stopped that person. In fact, it's the relationship, because there's a very negative relationship break off throughout her life journey. And because of that imprint was so strong, right, throughout her life journey, she is experiencing more things, yet she avoiding anything related to relationship. She exposed herself in all kinds of education, yet she reject any relationship that's near to her. So that is the imprint that hold them on, which what we call you are living from your survival mechanism. And throughout my 6,000 records that I have analyzed with my client, minority of them have put their imprint in the small part of their journey. Now, everyone have imprint, right? Everyone will never forget about your imprint. No way. So if a mentor or consultant or coach tell you, forget about your past, you just go straight to that person and say that, don't be crazy. I can never forget anything because it's been inside of my brain. You can only acknowledge it. A minority of people have put the imprint aside. And the successful people, most of the time, they keep on exposing themselves. Keep on experiencing new things. Now, at this moment, the pandemic, especially during this RMCO. See, we have gone through MCO, Movement Control Order. We have gone through the conditioning MCO. And now during the RMCO, ask yourself, what have I exposed to? What have I experienced that is the new normal, which I never thought of and I never experienced before? If you have exposed yourself during this 4 to 5 months, you are in the minority group, you are living from your essence. Because you allow your being to empower you moving forward, and you disallow your imprint to hold you on. Interesting? Right. So, if you go to somebody that might want to dig out from all your past, as a coach, I don't do that. I don't like to look at your past, yet your past might give a coach some indication. If you go to a psychology, you go to a counselor, they might start to digging out your past. Right. So this is a tool, yet every one of us potentially use it differently. So far so good. And finally, it's about choice. Right? It's about the choice whether you're living from your essence or living from your survival mechanism. Now, I love this exercise. I'm going to play another game. Are you ready with game? Okay, no reply means you are ready with game. Now, this time, I'm not going to use you as the game player. What if I tell you that I'm going to use me for you to play? Means that I'm going to give you a question, and you're going to answer the question about me. Interesting? Because in this webinar, I couldn't see any of you, or some of you might have closed off your video. Yet, everyone see me. Okay. So the best thing is, I will use me as a player. Now, I'm going to give you a question. Two things you cannot ask me. You cannot challenge me about what is it, right? And you cannot challenge about my English, especially my grammar, because this particular question is heavily engineered. It was engineered in such a way, I combined two questions into one. So when I release this question to you, right, over at the chat site, just type in 1 or 2 words, right, related to this question. Now, the first thing I need you to do is stare into me. Yes, been looking into my eye for the last 30 minutes, I believe so, because there's a clock over here showing I've beyond 35 minutes. So look into my eye. And I'm going to show you this question, and you go to the chat site and type in your answer. So are you ready? Now, the question is, what shows up when I do? What quality do I bring into the room? So what shows up when I do? What quality do I bring into the room? So I want you to type in the first answer that comes into your mind. It's totally all right whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter. Right. So just type in, and my team will compile the answer. Right. And in fact, I'm excited because I'm vulnerable enough to let you to tell about me. Although we never met, I never physically met you. This could be our first time. And this will be very interesting exercise for me, even for yourself. Now, this quote comes from Abraham Maslow. You remember the Maslow hierarchy, where you have a basic needs, and the final part is self-actualization. Right. So this is one of the quote that he came out. One can choose to go back towards safety or forward towards growth. Growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. Right. So it's your choice whether to go back to safety or to go back to the normal. And yet the environment is going to change drastically. Right. And fear got to overcome again and again. In a simple layman, I normally tell people it's complete and incomplete. Just imagine your desk, your working desk. Every morning you come back to the office, you will clear your desk, right? So when you sit down and it's so neat and you tell yourself, I'm complete, so nice. And at the end of the day, when you stand up, you notice your desks are incomplete again because it's messed up. So then you start to tidy again and it's complete again. And the next day when you come back, my God, it's incomplete again. So this is the whole cycle again and again. So have you been chosen that again and again? Think of this. So my whole intention here is get to aware of your essence. Right? And your essence is critical because your essence is going to hold you on to move forward. Now, may I review the answer to me? What are the participants say about me, Nali? Now right. It's interesting.
So, yes, Aline said steady, safe. And then there's one from Tan Chi Wee. He said
no need
knowledge.
to mention the name. Yeah, no need.
All right.
Yeah. Knowledge.
And wise, confidence, knowledge, confident, knowledge. Yeah, most people did say that. So.
Okay. Thank you, Nali. Right. Interesting. So that will be the essence that be holding on inside of me. Knowledge. Right. So I have gone through this exercise almost like 10 years ago, again and again. And this is a beautiful exercise that I've been through. And my 5 top essence that holding on throughout my journey. First is humor. Second is intelligence, which most of you have said knowledge. Right? Right. Third is compassion. Compassion also related to confidence because if I'm not compassionate with analytics, I might not come to this stage. Right? And then I have trust. Right? And also the final one is light. So these are my 5 essence words that was given by a lot of through the exercise that I've been through. And these are the 5 essence that have been holding me on in my journey, no matter whether the situation is terrible, especially during this pandemic movement. So my whole intention for this webinar is to get into your own essence, because only your essence can move you forward. Imagine if you go for a job interview, if you are one of the 3 that you have jobless, if you go for a job interview, from the look of your eye, your interviewer are able to identify that just by staring into your eye. That is the #1 powerful thing. Right? Imagine at this moment, I talk to a few friends. I ask them, what is important now to the company? And majority of them say sales. I need to sell. I need to get revenue. Now, we have been approached by many salespersons. Have you noticed that whenever you stare into that salesperson's eye, your first sign will tell you whether you like that person or not? Interesting, right? So if you are able to develop that essence inside of you, your first sign will allow you to complete whatever things you want to complete. So I hope you get some valuable insight during this 45 minutes. Right? My next webinar is about people-to-people bonding. The last 4 webinars, if you notice the way I structure is about you. Because I predicted during this period, we got to work on ourselves first. And when the MCO is start to release, recovering is release, means the environment, the government is slowly allow us to reconnect. Because if we do not work on ourselves, we are going to be in the comfort zone. And when the environment open up, the next thing we need to do is to connect with another human, which is people-to-people bonding. So my next webinar, just wait for my team to send you the info, is to how to achieve the people-to-people bonding, because at this moment, we are moving from the offline to the online. And when you start to open up, you got to combine the offline and online together. Especially at this moment, when I call my friend, let's go and meet. And my friend will say, no, why not we meet over Zoom? It's completely very different feeling. Right. So just check out for the webinar. So a quick introduction of the Dixon Laboratory. Right. We started so far, I think 6 years from now. And I've gone through, me and my team have gone through almost 6 to 7 countries. Right? Our intention is to assess the human behavior through factors technology and activate them with facts and move them forward to the well-being. Well-being comes with 2 parts, which is the mental well-being and physical well-being. And yet, our code is, we guarantee result. And the only failure is you fail to participate. So that is a brief introduction of the Dixon Lab. So finally, let's come to the third part, which is grab it. Right? This time, what am I giving out? I would say free. I don't like to use that word free because a lot of time when I give out free, people don't take it seriously. Unfortunately, this is how others, the market behave. I still got to use the free to attract you. Right? Now, free doesn't mean I'm not going to put 100%. Right? Because when we talk about human, if I work on your being, I got to be 100% responsible for it. So for this webinar, what I'm looking at, same thing, you still get your certificate of participate, right? The next thing is, I will conduct a virtual workshop, which is the Essence Conversation. Remember the Essence Conversation that you identified me? It's a workshop. Normally, I will conduct it face-to-face. Right? I have transformed it into an online workshop. Right? It takes about 3 hours for 2 sessions. One session will not be able to finish. Right? So I break into, it could be 2 hours for one session and another session for 1 hour. It will be 2 days. Right? It's a conversation. I will have you together with 15 people and to identify what are the essence that holding on you, and you got to live with your essence, and that will empower you to move forward. Right? This is a 100% guarantee workshop because I work with this workshop with many people. I will say more than a few hundreds throughout the worldwide. So we are offering 15 packs seat. So grab your seat. Only 15 packs because at maximum I can only handle 15% over virtual online. This is my experience. Right? It's very different from offline when you see face to face. So go to this URL, tinyurl.com/freeessence and log in your seat. And my team will let you know which day and which time, and we'll have this session together. So I hope this webinar and the principle I pass on to you are able to empower you to move forward during this period. And if you want to get to know your essence, join this virtual workshop. And with that, I thank you very much. I pass back to you, Nali.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dixon, for the sharing. It's been knowledgeable, and I hope all of us get to learn something new from this session. And if you have any inquiries, please do reach out to Condition Zebra or the Dixon Lab. And Dr. Dixon did mention about something that's free gift, but not so, is it? Because we're going to give it 100%. So in order to claim, what we're about to give you, you are required to subscribe and provide a comment on our YouTube video, which we're going to upload soon. We will send you the details through an email tomorrow. So you wait, all right?
Is there, yeah. So let's open up for a question. If there are any question they would like to ask, yeah, they can just type in the chat group if there's any question.
Yeah, do let us know if you have any experience throughout the quarantine. If it's anything prominent, do share with us. We can talk it out. You may chat.
Yeah. No, I mean if any of the participants have question, they can just type in the chat group.
Oh, yes. So yeah, any questions? Yeah, while we're waiting for response, I'd like to ask Dr. Dixon. What are your thoughts on RMCO? As they call it, recovery, right? So yeah, maybe some thoughts from you before we answer this incoming question. Incoming question.
So basically, when I hear the RMCO, recovery MCO, my first thought is there are new behavior we got to cultivate. Means that we got to cultivate new habits. And the interesting part is every one of us are human. We tend to fall back to the comfort, the same old ways we have been developed ourselves. And many of us, or majority of us, might have difficulty to take on the change. And yet, during this recovery MCO is the best time for us to start to realize ourselves and make the changes. So my thought is, this is a good situation. Yet from another side, it might impact the economy, it might impact the employment. Yet it's going to develop a new set of habits or a new set of ways of doing things. It could be very empowering if you take this on.
Okay, so yeah, there's this one question.
Mm.
Why are you giving this free without charges? So someone is skeptical. Maybe you need to set that up.
Okay, so why am I giving all this free? Now, very interesting. See, all this knowledge and all these tools, sometimes you are able to find over the internet because information are basically everywhere. Right? Same thing. When I graduate from my university, when I come out after my PhD, etc., uh, we've been taught the same way. Yet, what makes it different is how to apply it. Right? I'm willing to give all this available to you. Now, the interesting part is how you're going to apply it in your journey. Right? And many coach, that's why if you go into different trainers, different mentor, different coaches, potentially they might use the same tools. Yet it's the way they apply it. The application side is the most critical. It's not about whether it's free or not. It's whether we understand it enough and apply it into us or into your client. So my intention is provide you with that tools.
Okay. Okay, and there's another question. And if I need support, should I go to a psychologist or someone? So someone is seeking for psychological help. So what are your thoughts on that? What's your
Um, Now, interesting question. Uh, if you are ready to, my personal perception is, if you are ready to go back to your past and you are ready to take out whatever things or trauma happening in the past, go to a psychology. If you are not ready to do that, go to a coach. A coach do not look into your past. The coach is to look forward, to move you forward. Right? So if you are ready to go for a psychology, means that you are ready to go and take out all your past. Okay. Right? Which is your imprint. A coach will move you forward to expose as much as possible. So again, if you're ready to go to your past, go and engage a psychology. If you're willing, ready to expose yourself, you might want to consider engaging me as your coach. Thank you.
That's a great answer. I mean, yeah, I've never thought of, if I go to psychologist, I will have to look back into my past. But it's true, when you want to move forward, you need to find a coach,
Yeah.
because you just want to, some people would just let it go and not talk about the past, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. And, oh, we have another question. What do you recommend? Um, Sorry, do let us know, as in to recommend what exactly, so we can answer specifically. Admin at, yes.
So what do we recommend?
Hmm.
I will recommend is take action. Right? Take action, grab the virtual workshop and get yourself a seat.
Okay.
Because uh, uh,
Right. Okay, the person has answered. So what do you recommend? A psychology or a coach? Yeah, a psychologist or a coach.
uh, uh, so as I say, if you're willing to go back to your past, your trauma again and again, and want to clear this, which you've never been clear because it's all locked inside your brain, then go to a psychologist. If you are ready to open up yourself and be vulnerable and expose yourself to the unknown, come go to a coach, right? And I'm ready to be your coach.
All right, there's another question. In general, uh, what would what would a coach do to help? So what can you offer in this case?
Now, interesting. Coach will look at what are your essence, what are your strengths, and what you want to be. Now, again, to be, not what you want. A lot of people of us misunderstood. I want to have $1 million. That is what you want. Right? Now, the most important thing is what you want to be. You want to be a millionaire. What does millionaire means to you? Comfortable life, financial freedom. Right? Now, all this is a journey, it's a process to achieve. So rather to achieve the 1 million, right, which a lot of times you know how to get it, that 1 million. Yet to achieve a millionaire, to have financial freedom, to have an enjoyable life in your definition, that is the process. That is where the coach, right, will coach you towards that moment. Just imagine our badminton player. Right? Every athletics, they will have a coach. The coach will coach them to an extent that they're successful in life. It might not be monetary, it might not be money, yet the person to be. So that is the coach.
All right. And someone did ask, will that affect you digging the past? So the question is, is digging the past will somehow affect us?
It does.
I guess.
Yes. Yeah, it does. Because the more past you take out, right, the more depressed you are. Right? Depression to me is a simple term. If a person are depressed, means that person can remember every single moment regarding the past. So detailed until that person can describe it, until the tears drop. So the more we take out, to my perspective is, right, the more we are holding on. Right? And the past can never be rewind. Right? We can only empower, acknowledge what happened to the past and move forward to ourselves. Yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, who answers your question, admin? Right. And okay, there's another question. Then how do I know which Windows I am and whether my past imprint is triggering me?
How do you know?
This person is asking, which will I know which window am I? And is my past will trigger me?
Okay, so that is basically to assess yourself. Okay, two things you can do for yourself. First, grab the Essence Conversation workshop, register yourself over there. From there, you will start to discover yourself, which window you are in. Second, right, go and do an assessment test using our tools called EmoWave. In the Dixon Lab, we have a tools. Right? Basically, these tools does not require you to answer any question. All you need to do is speak to the mic for 5 minutes, and your emotion being, right, your behavior, your character will be shown in the report by just speak to the mic for 5 minutes. That is the assessment tools you can take on. And if you want to know more about this assessment tools called EmoWave, right, just drop a message to our team, right, and they will tell you what to do the next.
That's definitely interesting. So just speak to a mic for 5 minutes and then there's a personality report, you say?
Yes, you will show your character, you even show your emotion, what are the emotions that are holding inside of you.
Alright. So characters, emotions, what other things does it reveal in the report?
You're also reviewing the way you communicate and learn things, and it's also review what do you want to be. Because a lot of times we want to be something, just that we could not find words to express it. So in that report, potentially will show you what you want to be, which is help you to understand better. Yeah.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. Now I'll have that in mind. Okay. So we do not have any questions left. So I suppose I could repeat. You'll get a certificate of participation from us. a free virtual workshop, Essence Conversations, for 3 hours, divided to 2 sessions, for only 15 packs. So if you guys wanna join and then maybe, get into this conversation where will they be speaking to you, Dr. Dixon?
Yeah, I will be personally conducting this workshop. Yeah.
So it means it'll be a somewhat one-to-one session, but between 15.
No, it's a 1 to 15 packs.
I see. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. So Essence Conversation, maybe you can give a bit of like a glimpse of it, like what people can anticipate from.
So the final part of the workshop is to get to know your 5 top essence that inside of you. That is the conversation that we're going to have between me and the 15 packs together. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Oh, we have another question. I guess before we end things, someone is curious. How does the assessment tool work? So as we said just now, right? The voice, you might explain it a bit more detail on that.
Okay, so the voice, in fact, the whole technology behind is our voice are similar to brainwave. So when you speak to the mic, in any language, you can shout, you can scream, doesn't matter, as long as you produce a voice. Right? It's approximately 3 to 5 minutes. During that moment, we are collecting the triggers from your brainwave. And from that will convert into data that will show your behavior, your characters, your emotions, even to the extent that what is inside of you. Right. So that is how it works.
Yeah, and
it's simple.
And again, this person asked, did you create the technology?
No, I did not create the technology. Right. It was what I did is I transformed the data into a more simple layman understanding. Because the whole technology is quite complex. Sometimes it's difficult to understand what are the data. As a data scientist, my biggest objective is to transform all this technical data into simple format so that we can understand better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any other questions before we end the session? So, if you do, then yeah, we can give you like 30 seconds before we end the session. So, better hurry, you got 28, 27, 26.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to unshare my screen.
Okay.
Yep.
Someone said, I'm happy with the session. Thank you so much, Dr. Dixon.
You're welcome.
So, people was saying thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I guess that's that. Yeah, everyone enjoyed the session. Someone said thank you. That's nice. All right, thank you so much everybody for joining us today. It's quite a session. I suppose at the end we get to talk a lot more, right? On on how things work. So yeah. Wait a sec.
Okay.
All right. So I guess that's that. Until then, please have a good day. I know it's already in the evening, but please have a good, continue being happy. The life doesn't stop now. It's just about to start, especially with our MCO, right? So thank you again. Thank you again, Dr. Dixon, and everyone. Thank you so much for attending the webinar.
Yeah, have a good day and stay safe.
Yep, you too. Practice social distancing, okay? Jangan dekat-dekat. Alright, okay.
Bye.
I will end the session now. Alright, bye-bye.